Women's soccer. Okay, lesbians, now that I have your attention, why Subaru? Anyway, I want to explain why the U.S. women's national team sued U.S. soccer for sexist wage discrimination. Now, there are two reasons. One, they are the most dominant force in women's soccer history. Two, they're fucking idiots. Now, I'm not here to bash women. Hope Solo has done that enough. I just want to clarify what's going on. So here it is. The U.S. men's team, if you can even call them men, has an incentive-based contract. They only get paid when they play. And by play, I mean get their shit pushed in by the third world. The U.S. women's team was offered a similar incentive-based contract. They turned it down. The women demanded guaranteed money instead. Then they went out and pillaged more foreign women than the Vikings and won another World Cup. So they did the math and realized they would have made more money if they had taken the original incentive-based contract. So they sued to change their contract and receive back pay for all the games they've already played. Obviously, the judge thought this was ridiculous and threw the case out immediately. Now, lasses of the grasses, chicks between the sticks, bitches of the pitches. You can't sue someone for giving you the contract you asked for. You also can't call someone sexist for giving you the contract you asked for. Furthermore, if you ask for a sexist contract, U.S. soccer isn't oppressing you. You're oppressing you. Now, I understand it's shocking that women would break an agreement just because they're in a position to benefit financially, but that's exactly what happened here. And you dare say men have commitment issues. Now, in all fairness, for the first time in the history of sports outside of stripping, women are more profitable than the men. Pole dancing is a sport, by the way, and I'm a huge supporter of women's athletics. Let's go Magic City. Times are changing, people. Step out of the past, you bigots. Women are more successful than men at soccer. Men are more successful than women at being women. Welcome to 2020, man. I mean, Zim or Zer or whatever goofy shit you white kids made up because you feel guilty about not having any struggle in your life. Based on the money the women bring in, they should be making far more than the men, and I know how to make it happen. Easily. You pay the men what they're worth. Nothing. Zip. Zilch. Zero. Zer. This is sports socialism. They do nothing and get paid anyway. It's un-American. Now, some of you might say that that's unfair. And to that I say, fuck you, you commie prick. The men's soccer team is garbage and they should be treated as such. Put them in a bag, light it on fire. Is that what we do at Trash? The men didn't even make it in the World Cup. We couldn't beat Panama. That's not even a country. That's a shortcut. We couldn't beat Honduras. We couldn't beat Costa Rica. We couldn't beat Mexico. I mean, we have 40 million Central American immigrants in this country. Are they just sending the ones that can't play soccer? Hombres. The Statue of Liberty is not holding up a red card. I mean, all those people, not one chicharito. When Trump said they're not sending their best, you gotta admit he was right. And you know what? We should build a wall. So we only let in the ones with the athletics to jump over it. That's how you win some headers. Now don't get me wrong, mi gente. I appreciate the jobs you do. Thank you for delivering my Postmates, but I need you to deliver a World Cup. Hector, off this field, onto this one. Please. Steal these jobs. The men's soccer team stinks. They are the exception to American exceptionalism. We can put a man on the moon, but we can't put a ball in a goal. You know America's greatest soccer achievement was beating Colombia in the 1994 World Cup. How'd we beat them? Colombia scored on themselves. Yeah, we can't even score our own goals. In 2010, we lost to Ghana. Ghana! A country we give millions of dollars in foreign aid every year. We're losing to teams we're feeding. Seriously, Ghana, if you beat us again, I'll tell you what's gonna be Ghana. The rice. Yeah, you can kiss that delicious jollof goodbye. To me, it's clear. The women's team makes stars. We know who they are. Mia Hamm, Alex Morgan, Ninja. The men's team is fucking unrecognizable. Who's this guy? I see that guy on the street, I assume he's doing magic. This dude? That's the most boring rapper of all time. This guy right here, that's a Make-A-Wish adult. Let me guess, he's the star of a soccer movie called Bend It Like Leukemia. Now, I'm not saying the women's team is more skilled than the men's team. Of course not. And yes, they win mostly because half the world's women are stuck under curtains. They're also trying to hijack the women's rights movement to gain public sympathy to get them out of a dumb contract that they asked for. But at the end of the day, they're undeniably the best in the world. And this is America. We love being the best, baby. Matter of fact, the only thing we love more than oppressing women is winning. So broads, take the money. Because I know one thing for certain. The future of American soccer, is female. Thanks, guys. Peace. It's time to talk about Joe Biden and how him running for president in his current condition is absolutely perfect. Yeah, he's the ideal candidate, not only for a clinical trial for dementia, but also to be the leader of the free world. Now, I know what you're thinking. How can he stop Trump if he can't stop wetting the bed? I'll tell you how. Because Biden is more Trump than Trump. Everything Trump does, Joe Biden does better. Think about it. Why do people love Trump? Trump's not controlled by anyone. Oh yeah? Well, Joe Biden isn't even controlled by Joe Biden. Trump wants to make America great again. Oh yeah? Well, Joe Biden is so old, he just wants to make America. Trump says you can grab a woman by the pussy. Oh yeah? Biden goes out there and gets it done. No locker room talk over here. Biden's out there stealing third, knuckles deep. Just ask Tara Reid. Allegedly. Yeah, he was accused of fingering the girl from American Pie. What's more American than that? Apple pie and taking something that's not yours?
Yo, that's the wrong Tara Reid.
Wait, really?
Yeah.
Well, so what? He invaded the wrong place. Is there anything more presidential than that? Now, I know a lot of people are asking why Biden won't respond to these allegations, and I'll tell you why. Because he's a goddamn American, okay? And we do not negotiate with terrorists. I had a mental lapse there. It happens to the best of us. Right, Joe?
We hold these truths to be self-evident. All men and women created by you know the thing.
Yeah, we do know the thing. I'm telling you guys, Biden is Trump 2.0. Think about it. Trump separates immigrant kids from their parents at the border. Joe Biden, he separates American kids from their parents at the White House. See? Biden loves the children. Do you really think Trump is more anti-abortion than Biden? Hell no. Every fetus that's aborted is a lock of hair he doesn't get to sniff. Biden is a man of principle. He likes his women like he likes his scotch, aged 12 years and stored in a cellar. Trump, he's just like his hair, always flip-flopping, but Biden, he's plugged in. Trump loves to brag about his black employment numbers, but what black people is he really employing? The only black person in Trump's cabinet is Aunt Jemima. I know Ben Carson is in his cabinet, but I'm not going to let the facts ruin a great joke. Can we get back to this? Thank you. Seriously though, Joe Biden actually employs black people. Who do you think works in his retirement home? Jamaican women have been taking care of Biden ever since he went into that home 40 years ago. Why do you think he wants Kamala Harris as his running mate? Biden wouldn't be able to function without black women. As vice president, he was carried out of bed and propped up on that podium every day. How do you think Michelle's arms got so toned? So look, the choice is yours. We're entering one of the most important presidential elections of this decade, and we have to decide the future of this great nation. Times are uncertain. We're at the brink of war with China, a mathematical powerhouse, mind you, and we need someone who's up for that challenge. Do you feel confident with Trump in charge? Or would you want our very own arithmetic genius, Joe Biden?
Well, folks, eliminate one tax loophole out of $1.6 trillion worth, $1.4 trillion worth, out of $1.4 trillion.
That's what I thought. Whether you like it or not, we don't need someone who's creating enemies. We need someone who's willing to build strong, healthy relationships. And Biden has a track record of making friends.
My long friend, time friend, and she's a friend. She's been my friend in and out of public life.
Did you see that? He just made 4 friends and 1 friend. Now that doesn't make sense to you because you're not a mathematical genius like Biden.
$740 billion over 10 years.
Now, we could sit here and wonder why we have yet another election where we must choose between the lesser of 2 evils and why the Democrats have failed yet again to propose a viable candidate, one who would conduct a policy-driven campaign and bring real conversation to American politics and potentially bring change to the American people. And it's probably because they know Trump is going to win and just need to sacrifice a candidate to the political machine. Or we could just forget about it. Because I know one thing for certain. Joe Biden will. Thanks, guys. Peace. Gillian Maxwell, you dirt foot whore. This week, Gillian Maxwell, the accomplice of egg dick pedophile and suicide victim Jeffrey Epstein, was arrested and the world finally found out how to pronounce her stupid fucking name. I always thought it was Ghislaine, which doesn't sound like a British socialite. It sounds like what's inside a rap groupie's stomach. Maxwell was accused of recruiting, grooming, trafficking, and abusing cabinets full of underage girls, not as a producer at Miramax, but as Epstein's right hand in their child sex ring. Congrats, feminists! Female pedophile kingpins are finally getting the attention they deserve. The patriarchy has been crushed like Epstein's windpipe. Their human trafficking operation was over 20 years old, or as Epstein would say, ugh. They were enabled by a powerful network of politicians, billionaires, celebrities, and Kevin Spacey, which is weird because he's not even into girls. I guess he's just that into rape. So all this begs the question, why did the arrest take so long, and where the fuck was this guy? Now, some say they were able to fly under the radar because they had powerful friends, like former president and sex god Bill Clinton, who rode on Epstein's plane 27 times. Now, I'm not saying he knew anything about underage girls, but 27 times? You didn't see a retainer lying around? It didn't make you nervous that Epstein passed out iPads to keep the girls quiet? You weren't curious when he put his oxygen mask on before assisting the girls around him? It wasn't peculiar that they didn't call it first class, they called it homeroom? None of that, Bill? Their network didn't just include past presidents, but the current one too. Old Donald used to party with Epstein back in the day before banning him from Mar-a-Lago for hitting on an underage girl. Trump said their friendship fell apart not over Chuck E. Cheese sex parties, but rather a real estate bidding war. In typical Epstein fashion, he refused to go to a higher number and lost out on his development wet dreams. It wasn't just presidents. Maxwell and Epstein were connected to royalty too. They were close personal friends with human penguin Prince Andrew. The prince loved everything about Epstein, especially the teen. On 5 occasions, he visited Jeffrey's estate in the Virgin Islands. Virgin? I'm not even gonna make that joke, that's too childish. Like their girlfriends. They would go on shooting holidays together. What kind of shooting? Skeet? In 2010, the Duke of York was so disgusted by the news that his longtime pal was a pedo that he decided to fly to New York and party with him for 4 days. He even stayed at the Diddler's townhouse. Why'd he stay there?
But you were staying at the house of
Yes.
a convicted sex offender.
It was a convenient place to stay.
Yeah, convenient if you want to have sex with children, you Scooby-Doo villain-looking motherfucker, and you would have gotten away with it if it wasn't for those meddling kids. Presidents, royalty, but don't leave out the billionaires. I mean, if you're trying to run an international pedophile ring, you need money from countless secret sources, right? Nope. One guy, billionaire business boy and Epstein's sole client, Les Wexner. He owns Victoria's Secret. The secret, she's 13. I mean, look at this fucking scumbag. He looks like Spock's grandfather, ears like that, and you didn't hear any rumors at all? Wexner isn't the only one. Bill Gates met with Epstein after he was a registered sex offender. Don't worry though, billionaire 100 times over, Bill Gates had a great reason. He needed money. Bill was fundraising for his charity. Hey Bill, the funds have been raised. Remember that thing, Windows? Did you call it that because that's what you guys were peeping into? Anyway, hey, not now, Clippy. Wait, what? But who knows? They probably have a lot in common. Bill wants to inject foreign kids and Epstein was like, hey, me too. Now, when you're doing all this shady shit, you're gonna need some legal advice, and who better to give it than piss-toothed lawyer Alan Dershowitz? When he's not sending soup back at a diner, he's busy defending those who have fallen through the cracks of the justice system. O.J. Simpson, Harvey Weinstein, and of course Jeffrey. I mean, this guy's gotten off more predators than Epstein's masseuse. When asked if he had ever gotten a massage at Epstein's house, here's what he said.
I kept my underwear on during the massage.
Why do you distinctly remember that, you fuck? As if you can't have sex with your underwear still on. You just gotta stick your little St. James through that hole in the front. Also, you don't like massages?
I don't like massages particularly.
So why the fuck did you get one? I don't like carrots. If I'm offered some carrots, I'm gonna say no, especially if they're baby carrots. So you're probably thinking, how come they were never arrested before this? Well, they were. Epstein was charged the first time in 2008 and he pled guilty, registered as a sex offender, and had to pay 36 victims. 36! How do you even keep track of that? You must need an expensive filing cabinet. Anyway, he served barely a year in a private wing of the jail where he had the freedom to leave 6 days a week. The illegal deal struck by then District Attorney and Geico spokesperson Alex Acosta was so sweet, Ghislaine almost recruited it into sexual slavery. It was negotiated by Dershowitz, who kept his underwear on the entire time. Good boy. So what does all this mean? I'll be honest, I don't fucking know. And anyone that says they do is full of shit. Maybe Epstein didn't kill himself. And maybe Epstein isn't even dead. And maybe Ghislaine and Epstein were working on behalf of some government intelligence to blackmail powerful people, not that blackmail. After all, Ghislaine's dad was an Israeli spy and her sisters wrote software for the FBI. But with everything we know, how is anyone still calling this a baseless conspiracy theory? How come conspiracies are only baseless when they're questioning powerful politicians, but not when it's weapons of mass destruction in Iraq? Now, don't get me wrong. A lot of conspiracy theories are stupid as hell. The earth isn't flat, we're not controlled by lizard people, and no one's turning frogs gay unless you count Kermit getting fisted. But questioning suspicious events in good faith shouldn't be considered fringe. It's what we should all be doing. I mean, to believe that some government intelligence would sexualize underage women in an attempt to gather intel on a population for political control, that's totally crazy, right? I mean, that could never happen, no way. Maybe the question we should all be asking is why conspiracy theories, which have always existed in the dark corners of the internet, have all of a sudden become mainstream. Maybe it's because of the complete lack of trust in news. I mean, how can we trust a media that appears to be pushing some type of biased agenda and a president that constantly calls into question the validity of any news at all? And let's be honest, sometimes a conspiracy is more comforting. It's easier to believe that a virus is an enemy bioweapon rather than a random natural disaster that we have no control over. Each and every event should be scrutinized in good faith, and our opinions should be accepting of new evidence. We should all be vigilant, but not vigilantes, skeptical, but not skeptics, cynical, but not cynics. And remember, if you're ever in the company of a registered sex offender and receiving a sensual massage from an unknown woman, keep your underwear on. Thanks, guys. Peace. Whatever happened to canceling people? Remember those armchair activists that ruin lives for retweets? They've been real quiet lately, huh? I mean, even the Man Haters Club, remember them? Men are trash, cancel all men. Remember Lena Dunham, that actress that looks like a Mucinex germ, said men should go extinct. And ever since Corona, they've been silent. You know why? Because they want a vaccine. And we all know which gender's gonna make it. Here's a hint. It's the same gender that made all the other vaccines. You're welcome, ladies. Honestly, it feels like I did nothing, so don't even sweat it. But here's the reality. You can't cancel people that you need. You think it's a coincidence that not a single entertainer has been canceled during quarantine? Of course not. People need to be entertained. I mean, remember the days when drugging people into having sex with you made you a monster? Now it will make you a king. Joe Exotic literally tricked straight men into having gay sex and living on a tiger farm. Did he get canceled? Hell no. He got his own Instagram filter. He's a hero. And it's not just entertainment, by the way. What about all those brave souls that used to alert the world to the evils of cultural appropriation? My culture is not your prom dress. You're right. But it is the reason why prom got canceled. But maybe they have a point. Let's not jump to conclusions. I mean, you should never take another culture's piece of clothing and wear it every day for your benefit. How could they? Where's the credit? Where's the financial support? I mean, Asians have been wearing this cultural artifact for millions of years. It's a scientific fact. Asians love covering their face. Exhibit A, Exhibit B, take that down. You don't have to steal someone's culture to protect your face. I mean, America has plenty of face protection options. Where's your pride? This is about respect. To steal this is one thing, but to try to profit off of it, I mean, that is disgusting. What type of monster would profit off of, take that down, would profit off of someone else's culture, especially, take that down, is how many of these are we selling at fashion.shop? I mean, we could all use a little extra money right now, you know? Speaking of, what happened to all of you that were saying, Trump's not my president? Trump's not my president? You took his $1,200, didn't you? He might not be your president, but he is your daddy. And we remember it. I used to hear it all the time. Trump is corrupt. He has been compromised by the Russians. He's been bribed. I would never be bribed. I have integrity. And as soon as that check hit your bank account, you're like, what's corruption? I mean, a lot of what he said is taken out of context. There's a lot of fake news. You know, lamestream media can't be trusted. Stormy Daniels was a whore. And let's be fair. It's not just the woke left. The woke right has been flip-flopping too. I mean, the free market king himself, Ben Shapiro, said, so when exactly are corona tests going to be widely available? Why is autistic Adam Smith asking for government assistance? I mean, why isn't Benji Red Pill pulling those corona tests up by his own bootstraps? Facts might not care about your feelings, Mr. Shapiro, but hopefully the government doesn't get you a test soon. Now, I know some of you are thinking these tests would be available if the government didn't shut down the free market. And you're right. They probably would. And nothing has ever gone wrong when healthcare is decided by the free market. I agree with you guys. They deserve to die. They were too poor to live. What were they thinking? We should absolutely treat life-saving drugs like some off-white ones. Free market medicine, fantastic idea. Let's just let anyone open their own practice. How could that even go wrong? To be fair, ladies, never show your pussy to a man with a mohawk. You should have seen this coming. Now this story is tragic. I mean, this woman only wanted one thing, for her booty to be eaten like groceries, and a free market surgeon turned her ass into Cinnamon Toast Crunch. Now, you can't forget the big corporations. Always yapping about government interference, right? No government regulation in our business. No government interference in our business. Unless, of course, our business goes out of business, and then it would be great if you regulated us back into business. Well played, Big Biz. It's almost like you knew that you were gonna get bailed out. How could you? That's great. What are you, psychic or something? As you can see, everyone is flip-flopped or shut up due to the current situation, except one group. That's right. There's one group that's been consistent this whole time, unwavering, never faltered in the face of a global health crisis, and that's conspiracy theorists. Yeah, since day one, they've been saying globalists would unite the world through a major catastrophe. They would insert microchips in everyone. We would be required vaccines to function in everyday life. A military police state would control our every move, and the earth is flat. All right, so not everything. But you miss 100% of the shots you don't take. So weird internet incels, as long as it's not a school, you keep shooting. Thank you guys for watching. I appreciate y'all. Peace. What's up, everybody? I hope you're enjoying the compilation. Now, this is a 24-karat AK-47, but what I gotta talk to you about has absolutely nothing to do with those two things. You're getting screwed on your internet. You don't have access to the whole world. It's called the World Wide Web, but it's not wide open to you, and we're going to change all that with a VPN, the very best VPN, Surfshark's VPN, okay? You're going to use Surfshark, and you're going to have access to the entire internet. Yeah, you've probably tried to look at a website and probably tried to watch a video, and then you click play, and then all of a sudden it says, this is not available to you. Well, those days are done. The second you get the Surfshark VPN, you have access to everything. That means Netflix entire catalog in the UK, Netflix entire catalog in America, in Canada, in Turkey. You get to search the internet from wherever the hell you want. So now you finally have access to all of it. That's right. And that's not it. You get all that for just over $2 a month. Is that unbelievable? Of course it is. Everything for almost nothing is the best deal in the world. I'll tell you something else. They're so confident. Surfshark is so confident you're going to like this. There's a 30-day money-back guarantee. You get your money back if you don't think it's worth it, all right, within the first 30 days. They're giving you a month to try it, and they're going to give you that money straight back. That's how much they know that you're going to love what you're doing. I'm going to say a couple of things that the VPN offers as well, okay? Obvious 30-day money-back guarantee. There it is. Unlimited devices. That's right. Every single device you have, you can protect as many of those devices as you want at once, all right? They also have the whitelister. Allows specific apps and websites to bypass the VPN. Now, it works great with mobile banking apps, etc. They have these strict no-log policy. Surfshark doesn't monitor, track, or store what you do online. That means no connection or no activity logs. That's the exact opposite of what all these other websites are trying to do. They're trying to mine your data, store your data, sell your data. Surfshark's VPN is like, we don't want none of that. We actually want you to be private. They also have the kill switch, okay? It's a safety net in case your VPN connection drops. Your activities and sensitivity data are never exposed, okay? You can look at whatever the hell you want to look at with privacy. Finally, feel comfortable. I told you about the no borders mode. They have the encryption. That means they're going to guard your personal data by using an industry-leading encryption. I could tell you what it is. I don't know what it is. You don't know what it is. Just trust. It's encrypted. Point is, you go to surfshark.deals/Schulz. You enter the promo code Schulz, and you are going to get, for a limited time, 83% off a 2-year plan with 3 extra months for free. Okay, that's surfshark.deals/Schulz. This special offer makes your subscription just $2.21 a month. You get everything for almost nothing. Just do it. Now let's get back to the rants. Thank you, Hollywood. Racism has been solved. This week, in activism no one asked for, entertainers continued their relentless fight to stay relevant, make change. The Dixie Chicks, also known as Migos for Midwest moms, are now just the Chicks. Smart move, making a comeback by chopping off your Dixie. SNL removed an episode where human soft-serve Jimmy Fallon did something funny, not the blackface. He pretended to be a comedian. NBC, you're worried we're gonna watch an episode of SNL from 20 years ago? We didn't watch the one from Saturday. And they took down an episode of Golden Girls for mud masks. Black people don't need protection from Blanche. They need protection from Becky. Entertainers aren't the only good-looking people with zero talent making change. Housewives with kids at college, or as some of you refer to them, realtors, have stopped using the term master bedroom. Really? That's not even the most racist term in real estate. You can still buy plantation-style houses, and people still do it. No Jew is sending their kid to a concentration-style camp. It's just crazy. For the last month, black people with a capital B have been very clear about the change they want. They don't want to get killed by the cops, and if they are, they want the cops prosecuted. And woke ally Hollywood listened to that information, digested it, and responded with, "Give them the cartoons!" Nailed it! Fox put out a statement saying The Simpsons will no longer have white actors voice non-white characters. Obviously, that doesn't apply to Fox News. Jenny Slate, unknown for her work on SNL, quit her role as a half-black, half-Jewish girl in a cartoon about horny children, the second child-related piece by John Mulaney, even though he doesn't have any kids of his own. It's getting weird, John. Also, Nick Kroll looks like a platypus running for mayor. Anyway, in her animation proclamation, Jenny stated, it was an example of white privilege and white supremacy, and she was engaging in an act of erasure of black people. Jenny, turn on the news, sweetheart. Cartoons aren't the ones erasing black people. Also, you're 100% Jewish. A black person is 100% black. So neither of you are 100% Missy. Let's be honest. Where the fuck are we gonna find a hormonal, half black, half Jew? All right, good point. But no, you need a mixed race woman. If only they could find Maya Rudolph, but she was probably too busy voicing other characters on the fucking show. How oblivious are you guys? But at least they took action while the show was still on the air. BoJack Horseman actor Alison Brie said she regrets playing a Vietnamese woman on the show. First of all, no one asked. Second of all, people want representation, not regret. The show is over, but you still found a way to make it about yourself and get some PC points. I mean, how close does an actor have to be in order to play the character? BoJack was voiced by Will Arnett, not an actual horseman. Also, how important do these fucking voice actors think they are? I mean, it's absurd. You're anonymous. I can't name the people that voiced Ariel, Aladdin, SpongeBob, Nemo. As a kid, every Saturday I watched X-Men, not that X-Men. I can't name a single voice actor from that show. No one knows voice actors. We don't know who played Miguel, Moana, Wally, and if it was Stephen Hawking, I don't want to hear him apologize. Just shut up and dribble. I didn't know a black guy played Samurai Jack or Shredder. To me, those characters were Asian. Ideally, these actors reflect the characters they play. Fuck it, let children play children in Mulaney's next cartoon. Just be careful who casts it. But sometimes it's difficult. I mean, to dub every anime, you would need to find a Japanese actor who speaks fucking Swahili. Sometimes you just need the best person for the role. That's what Jada did. But you know what's also important? That the writers who tell the story and the animators who depict them share the characters' life experiences. Getting rid of voice actors doesn't fix the problem. It's just pruning the tree, but never addressing the roots of the power imbalance. As stupid and sanctimonious as these actors sound, at least they're trying to help. Yes, they made the money first. Yes, the timing is curious as the cancel culture mob sets its sights on Hollywood. But still, they're sacrificing money and fame to help people with less representation. Maybe they were seduced by the opportunity and now they're trying to atone for it. Only they know for certain. That being said, the style of these announcements is so fucking annoying. How many non-binary baristas does it take to craft an apology? I swear every time it's like liberal buzzword bingo, toxic, erasure. Playing a cartoon character that you half represent isn't white supremacy. Thinking you can erase black people because of it is. You're exaggerating the severity of the situation to get Hollywood belly rubs. It's this white saviorism I fucking hate. Minorities aren't fragile little children that need to be coddled. That's celebrities. If you want to step down, great. Just keep it moving because no one asked for this. At no protest did someone have a sign that said defund the Golden Girls or abolish the master bedroom. So here's what we're gonna do. Realtors, you want to make things better for black people? Start showing them the houses they qualify for. Hollywood, you want to make things more equitable? Hire more black writers and actually promote them. All this nonsense is just paranoid, performative bullshit, and we can see right through it. And Dixie Chicks, I'm sorry, the Chicks, keep making those hits. Thanks, peace. Confederate flags and statues need to be taken down, and it's not because they're racist. This week, in things that should have happened in 1865, NASCAR officially banned the Confederate flag from all races, specifically the white one. Bubba Wallace, NASCAR's only black driver and the first one to get pulled over during a race, said the flag doesn't belong here. He's right. It belongs on Candace Owens' lace front. Some people didn't take well to this news. The worst NASCAR driver of all time, Ray Ciccarelli, also known as the David Duke of Hazard, officially retired, or shall we say surrendered, after the flag banning. In his statement, which looks like it was typed by Michael J. Fox, he complained that removing the flag catered to one group. Yeah, Americans. And if you don't like that, Ray, you can go back to your country. Oh, that's right. You don't have one anymore because we scorpions snatched your slave-loving asses back 150 years ago. Nothing about Ray's behavior surprises me. I get why he's bald, to avoid the hat hair, and I get why he likes Confederates, because they both love losing. I mean, they like losing so much, they do reenactments of the losing. But here's the question. Why the fuck is the Confederate flag still around at all? The Confederacy is obviously hateful. The guy who made the flag even said so himself, but the hate isn't the reason it should come down. All the Confederate statues should come down because they're traitors. They tried to divide and conquer our country. Fuck them. Why are we honoring treason? These guys lost the war. Nathan Bedford Forrest, Confederate general and first Grand Wizard of the KKK, probably a coincidence, has stuff named after him everywhere. Forest high schools, forest streets, forest statues. That's why black people don't go camping. Forests haven't been welcoming to them. I mean, why do we have military bases named after these guys? Like, if your girl cheated on you and got the guy's name tattooed on her back, you'd be like, take that shit off, you treasonous slut. Fort Hood? That's too far, man. I always thought y'all were the ones who were like, we're too easy on kids, no more participation trophies. What the fuck do you think these statues are? They're not for winning, especially this statue of Forrest. It looks like the Burger King. But this is where people get confused, because these well-intentioned kids are like, we're taking down these hateful and racist statues. We should take down all hateful and racist statues. And I understand the sentiment, but we're not removing the statues because they're hateful and racist. Because if that was the case, we'd have to remove like every statue in America. I go so far to say that most monuments in the world honor someone who probably had some hateful tendencies. The pyramids were built to honor pharaohs that were slave drivers. Gandhi called Africans savages. Einstein said the Chinese were filthy. JFK and MLK were cracking cheeks while their wives watched the kids. FDR locked up a bunch of Japanese people. Our founding fathers owned slaves and knew it was wrong, and your grandparents were probably racist. Are you gonna take down their tombstones? No, you're not. But now people are getting crazy. They defaced a statue of a guy who tried to abolish slavery, and a Christopher Columbus statue was beheaded because it offended Native Americans. You know what else is offensive to Native Americans? America. Yeah. I don't think they're that happy when they see you driving on stolen land in your Jeep Cherokee. If we take down all the Columbus statues, we should be consistent and remove the District of Columbia. We should remove Columbus, Ohio, too. Matter of fact, we should do that anyway. It's a shithole. We gotta understand why the statues were built in the first place. The Confederate statues are celebrating crimes against America. They're honoring traitors who attempted to split the nation to protect their ownership of slaves, killing 1 million Americans in the process. The other people I mentioned are in no way perfect. They're incredibly flawed, but their statues were not erected to celebrate their flaws, but rather to honor their contributions to society. Contributions we still admire to this day. That's why we gotta keep that monument of George Washington's peace. It's easy to judge people in the past by our current moral standard, but if the standard is too high, no statue will ever exist. We're all hypocrites across the board. We want to take down the statues of people for their fucked up behavior, but yet we continue to support Nike and Apple. We all know sweatshops and slavery are wrong, but yet we're still wearing Jordans and maybe even watching this video on an iPhone made with cobalt mined by slaves. We like to condemn the evil system, but simultaneously reap the benefits. Just like the founding fathers, we're no better. Your iPhone should cost $10,000, but it doesn't because of exploitation. People are dying so you can watch porn on the toilet. We judge the people of the past, and the people in the future will judge us. Time turns everyone into a bigot, and you know what? That's good. That means society is getting better. Hopefully your grandkids look back on you and think, wow, my pappy allowed migrant workers to toil in the fields for little to no money and use a cell phone with slave cobalt and thought a gay tiger keeper drug lord was worth binge watching? What the fuck was wrong with him? So what do? We could consider the reasons the statues were erected in the first place and recognize that the statues don't embody every action these people have ever done, but rather are symbolic of the positive contributions they made. We could stop teaching that historical figures are gods and recognize that these people were incredibly flawed, and we could judge them within the morality of their time. We could offer the same empathy to the people of the past as we can only hope the people of the future will offer us. Or we can see ancient relics that have done little to help black people and maybe even cause brutality in the cities they govern and cover them with a kente cloth. Racism solved. Thanks, guys. Peace. Well done, Internet. Everything is canceled. This week, cancel culture came for the most overrated, useless, unimportant, flavorless, bland, stale side dish of them all. No, Nick, we'll get to you in a second. Beans. While at the Hispanic Prosperity Initiative, Goya CEO and Toy Story 2 villain praised President Trump and the bean boycott began, Congresswoman and heavy honkered Hispanic AOC continued her unwavering support of minorities by canceling the minority business owner with the hashtag Going away. Shockingly, it was conservatives that protected the beaners, not by putting their kids in cages, or as they call it, Texas Hold'em, but by going on Twitter. Texas Senator and Down syndrome Wolverine Ted Cruz tweeted, "The left is trying to cancel Hispanic culture and silence free speech. Hashtag buy Goya." Interesting point. Now, how'd you feel about Nike supporting Colin Kaepernick, you spit-lipped twink? Cruz said, "I will no longer purchase Nike products. Hashtag walk away from Nike." Ted, the only thing you walked away from was your wife when she was getting mollywopped by Donald Trump. So, this is where we are, canceling food. Last week they canceled Uncle Ben's rice. No beans, no rice. Trump doesn't even need to build a wall. Once Mexicans find out, they're gonna go away on their own. And it's not just beans and rice. Cancelers came for the holy trinity of why Latin women fall off after kids. Butter. Yeah, they canceled the original Butterface, the hot-ass Native American Land O'Lakes chick. She was removed from the packaging of the box, and I'm pissed, because Pocahontas was a piece. I mean, look at her. She's already on her wounded knees. I'd let her give me scalp. Here's their new packaging. Well done, woke whites. You see what you did? You removed Native Americans from their land once again. I mean, it's just embarrassing. Speaking of being a little red in the face, the Washington Redskins are officially changing their team name, the second Washington team to do so after the Bullets changed their name to the Wizards. Nothing problematic about Wizards. No, I mean like real wizards. Okay, maybe wizards are problematic. Such a shame J.K. Rowling hates trans people, considering she made a spell that removes your wand. Penis deletus. Anyway, after years of protests, the Redskins finally realized their logo was offensive, and the natives caught their dream. Not because of those protests, but because FedEx decided to remove their sponsorship of the stadium. Just goes to show companies are only as woke as their pockets allow. From Redskins to butter to beans, this has been the week of cancellations, and no one got it harder than Miss Cleo's retarded stepson, Nick Cannon. Speaking of Goy away, that's exactly what CBS Viacom said to Nick for his anti-Semitic remarks. The host of conservative Karen's least favorite show, The Masked Singer, somehow didn't see this coming despite dressing like a prepubescent palm reader. The freshly showered mom said, "White people are savages and more like animals. Jewish people run the banks, and by 2050, all people in America will be people of color." Oy vey, where do I start? First of all, the point Mr. Mariah was too ignorant to communicate was that it's hypocritical for white supremacists to compare black people to animals and savages, while at the same time savagely conquering, colonizing, and enslaving them. And if he did say it like that, I don't think he'd get near the amount of pushback. Instead, he tried to justify racial supremacy with bullshit pseudoscience. Where have I heard this before? I don't know, Deshaun Jackson's favorite painter? Secondly, Jews don't own all the banks, only the ones where I put my money. And to suggest all Jews are complicit in an economic conspiracy to control the world is the exact type of language that was used by, I don't know, Deshaun Jackson's favorite author. You're quoting phase 1 of the Eradicate Jews handbook. That makes Jews more anxious than a buffet with no sneeze guard. And lastly, everyone in 2050 will be a person of color? I still plan on being here in 2050, and I'm whiter than an NBA player's wife. Nick, unless you're planning on eliminating a group of people like, I don't know, Deshaun Jackson's favorite public speaker, it's probably better to avoid making these statements. And side note, if there are no white people in 2050, who the fuck is gonna watch The Masked Singer? So Nick, despite the stupid shit you said and your inability to read music, I don't think you're racist or an anti-Semite. I think you're insecure and willing to say whatever it takes to get the validation of the person in front of you. And in this case, the person in front of you was an anti-Semite and a racist. So you said some dumb shit, not as a joke, but while being completely serious. Unfortunately, what you said actually hurts the movement for black equality. When you say white people and Jews are genetically inferior, you're pushing away potential allies. The All Lives Matter crowd falsely believes BLM is a movement for black supremacy. And your comments confirm that irrational fear. So what do we do with Nick? Personally, I don't think he should lose his show for what he said. If it was up to me, he would have lost it years ago for being incredibly unfunny. But to cancel him for this will just drive him deeper into these misinformed beliefs. We can't condemn cancel culture and then demand Nick gets canceled just because our feelings are hurt. Only through forgiveness, communication, and conversation can we get people to do better and reject their backwards ideas. So maybe we can take the lead on forgiveness and show Nick the road to redemption. Because at the end of the day, we are a lot stronger together. You know, like a drum line. Thanks, guys. Peace. TikTok, you commie cunts. This week we found out that America's favorite dancing sensation was a front for an evil, corrupt, tyrannical regime. No, not Ellen, or as her staff calls her, Clint Yeastwood. It's TikTok. If you're not familiar with China's viral export, no, not that one. No, not that one. No, not that one. Guys, what the fuck is going on over there? Y'all are slinging more viruses than the Showtime Lakers. Speaking of fast breaks, TikTok is a social media platform that proves that white people can dance if they're left alone in their room and a black kid does it first. The most popular Chinese app since Spring Rolls got more downloads than Riley Reid's throat. Yikes. And now Yosemite Sam is calling it a national security threat. Security threat? I understand banning TikTok for being an endless scroll of preteens dropping it to Doja Cat, or as Bill Clinton calls it, Uber Eats, but how is it a security threat? Well, it's an oolong story, but when it comes down to data, apps have strong pull-out game, usually just to sell you purses, right, Bron? Just by being on your phone, apps can track shit like where you are, what you search, who you message, and everything else your girl did to ruin your bachelor party. Now, I'm sure you're thinking, whoa, Andrew, wait a pixel dicking minute. If all apps do this, why is TikTok any different? Well, TikTok is not like other apps because China is not like other countries. When they say they're going to build a wall, they do it. And in 2017, China passed a law requiring corporations to hand over data at the Communist Party's request. Basically, in Beijing, industry and government are bound together like a Chinese woman's feet. TikTok claims they don't send that info to the Chinese government, and they even bought an American CEO who looks like meathead Lance Armstrong. Honestly, he looks like John Cena bent Lance over his bike. I said bike. But because they're a Chinese company, they gotta listen to the communist government. TikTok has been in more teen phones than James Franco. Last year, they paid $5 million to the US government for illegally collecting so many phone numbers of underage girls that Gillian Maxwell got jealous. China's been peeking at America for decades. A few years back, this boy band of Chinese army hackers got arrested for stealing the data of 22 million federal employees. Probably how they know the American identity so well. Military, sugar, fried food. How else you think they came up with General Tso's chicken? You're probably thinking, well, the American government is using our social media to spy on China, right? Wrong. We use planes for that, but that's not the point. Our government can't just flip a switch and make tech companies do whatever they want. Our government doesn't censor social media. Social media censors our government. Remember when the FBI wanted inside that terrorist iPhone? Apple told them to kick rocks. We have a separation between government and corporations, unless of course you're Halliburton's hollow-hearted human hunter Dick Cheney. And the other reason why we can't use our social media to spy on China is because China banned all our social media. Yeah, they banned all American apps. That's right. They don't have Google, no Twitter, no Uber. They can't watch all the amazing free and funny content on YouTube and Instagram. They've sent back more apps than Gordon Ramsay. The only Chinese thing Mark Zuckerberg is looking inside is his wife. But yet somehow America's Little Red Riding Hoods are suggesting that Trump is banning TikTok due to xenophobia. What? Then why isn't he banning Alibaba, Samsung, Sony, Honda, Toyota, Kia, Haier? I'll tell you why. Because they're not stealing our data. Most of our shit is manufactured in Asia. Your beloved iPhone was made by Taiwanese company Pegatron, which sounds like a Christmas gift from Porsche de Rossi. We don't care that Nikes are made in China because the only data collected from sneakers is that you love compliments from dudes. It does feel good, I'll be honest. Banning TikTok is not a racist attack on a specific group of people. You know what it is? Rounding up all the white people that want to be black in your country and putting them in concentration camps. Oh, it's Uyghurs? I was confused. Well, look, that's racist. And let me be clear, this isn't about Chinese Americans. This isn't even about Chinese people in China. This is about the Chinese government. Because not only is China banning their own people, they're banning their own apps. They even banned TikTok. Yeah, in China, they use the Chinese version of TikTok called Douyin, probably because they're doing some shady shit. God, they love shade. So, if they're censoring and controlling the content of their own apps in China, what do you think they'll do over here? I'll tell you, the same shit, and it's already happening. After Reddit took $150 million from China, posts about Hong Kong just started disappearing like Uyghurs walking to work. I mean, even LeBron James can't talk about China because they'll hit him where it hurts. So, if they're already censoring us, how bad could it get? Well, if you think Russia impacted our election with a few Facebook ads, imagine if Russia owned Facebook. Yeah, with the rise of TikTok, China could easily spread their ideologies and customs like communism or squatting to smoke a cigarette. Not to mention, China has every DM and stupid video that these 18-year-olds are posting, which they could use as blackmail to force future politicians, judges, and businessmen to do their bidding. You know damn well our first female president is probably pussy popping a pop smoke right now. And look, maybe I'm being an alarmist, but I know how good they are with Dance Dance Revolution. So what do? If we just ban TikTok, another foreign app is gonna pop up next year. So maybe the best long-term solution to protect American people is to come up with some sort of regulation on data collection for all companies in and outside the US, especially those controlled by a communist regime. American companies also have to quit being so fucking greedy. They're on their knees salivating at the opportunity of Chinese investment. And these simps are all too willing to backstab hardworking Americans by silencing their voices and pushing propaganda for communist cash. Look, I'm not saying we should be fearful here at all. We are not in danger, and let me be clear, we're the fucking danger. We're the one who knocks. And the way you maintain that position is by being cautious. And if that means swapping TikTok for Reels, then I'm all about it. I love that Zuckerberg made an American knockoff of TikTok, because Zuck might be a dork, but that's our dork. And if China's upset that we bootleg their shit, well, hey, now you know how it feels. Thanks, guys. Peace.
Excuse me one moment, guys, gals. I've got something to tell you. We got to get those dicks hard. Yes, this is a 24 karat AK because that's how I roll. And you know what else I got? I got the hardest dick on the planet, and there's one reason. It's called Blue Chew. Same active ingredient that's in Cialis and Viagra. And I'm telling you, if you want to give your girlfriend, your wife, or your side chick the night of her life, the weekend of her entire existence, you go with the Chew. You chew it up and chew her out. It's the thing that you should do and the thing that she deserves. Ladies, you deserve it. So get your man on it. And you know what? I'm going to give it to you guys for free. That's right. You just go to bluechew.com, use the promo code Andrew, and you're going to have the hardest dick of your entire life for free. You only got to do is pay $5 shipping. Bluechew.com, okay? Use the promo code Andrew. You pay that $5 shipping, and you're going to be delivering the greatest dick you've ever delivered in your entire life. Now let's get back to the clip.
Protests, riots, and looting. For the first time in my entire life, the whole nation is on the same page about a disgusting act of police brutality, yet we're completely divided about how to protest. Tucker Carlson, the Human Charcuterie Board, denounced the riots and protests, suggesting that Trump should come down harder on the unrest. And then Michael Moore, also known as Drag Rosie O'Donnell, and by drag I mean behind a boat, supported the riots and was glad the evil police precinct was burned down. And my favorite civil rights activist, David Guetta, said,
"So this record is in honor of George Floyd. So shout out to his family."
Wow. Thank you, David Luther King Jr. You know what? I do have a dream that you jump off that building. I mean, pick an accent. You sound like Bruno fuck Borat. Now, I know what you're thinking. But Andrew, it's not the peaceful protesters. Those people are great. People marching with their kids, staying away from my white neighborhood, holding signs, dancing with cops, posting black squares on Instagram. Not that one. The peaceful protests are amazing. I just can't stand for the riots and looting. I hear your point, and we'll get to riots in a second, but let's start with looting. Looting is breaking into stores and stealing the contents, and this is unequivocally wrong. These people are using the riots as a smokescreen in order to personally benefit from this tragedy. They're assaulting people, and it affects small businesses way more. It's selfish. It's fucked up. These protests are for justice, so explain to me how you solve systemic racism with a cheesecake. Also, white people, why the fuck are you looting? I understand we like stealing shit, obviously that's how black people got here, but this is not the time. And don't pretend you're not doing it. A van store got robbed. That's white people's Timberlands. And if anybody got the black and white checkers in a size 13, DM me. Also, influencers, if you're posting pics of yourself pretending to board up stores, you're looting. Sure, we know it's staged, women can't use a drill, but still, you're enriching yourself off a tragedy. I mean, last week, cops arrested Jake Paul while he exploited black struggle, and I don't mean his rap career. Also, if you're a news outlet that hand selects clips to fit your network's biased narrative, you're looting. And if you're a handsome comedian with a great smile and ears like Dobby, and you're talking about this event, that's not looting. I just can't get on stage because Chinese people keep eating bats. So we agree, the peaceful protests are good. And the looting is bad. Now let's talk about the gray area in between, rioting. Rioting is not peaceful. It is the intentional destruction of property for the sake of sending a message. And by that definition, it seems wrong. I wouldn't want someone smashing my windows, and frankly, I don't want to see cop cars on fire. And I know what you're thinking. Why can't they just protest peacefully? And the answer is, they did. They protested after Terrence Crutcher was killed, but the cops were still acquitted. They protested after Samuel Du Bois was killed, but the case was dismissed. And if you've never heard of those people, it's because their peaceful protests never reached you. So ask yourself, if you exhausted every option of peaceful protest for decades, and the prosecution of police still hasn't changed, what would you do? What options do you have left? How long would you go on being ignored while the people sworn to protect you gun down your neighbors without due process? 1 year? 10 years? 400 years? You complained about your rights being stripped when Corona kept you in your house for a month. But Andrew, the cops kill white people too and they get away with it. And you're okay with that? Police reform doesn't just benefit black people. But Andrew, what about the peaceful Martin Luther King? Look, you can boycott a racist restaurant. You can boycott a racist bus system. How the fuck do you boycott the police? Try it next time you get pulled over. No thanks, officer. Boycotting you guys this month. Black people, I'm gonna tell you something that's gonna be incredibly surprising to you and incredibly obvious to white people. I love cops. Obviously not the bad ones, but I don't even know who's bad until I see them on the news. White people love the police so much, we named a band The Police. One of our favorite leisure activities, watching the police do their job. We love cops. We love cops so much, we make our strippers dress like cops. I call them, they arrest me, I get turned on, and then they get undressed and I'm conflicted. I'm happy about the tits, but I'm upset that there's one less cop. Why do you think we call it copping a feel? And of course, white America loves cops. Because they made them. Every interaction I have with the cops is positive. So when white people look at a black victim of police brutality, and the first question they ask is, well, what did he do? In a lot of cases, it's not because they're racist. It's because for a cop to do to us what they did to George Floyd, we would have to do something super fucked up or be dressed like this. I mean, Dylan Roof killed 9 people, and on the way to the jail, the cops bought him Burger King. Here's how fucked up black people's relationship with the cops is. I have no fear of being killed by the cops, and black people describe that as white privilege. Not being killed by the cops isn't a privilege. It's the way it should be. So white people, if the rioting is difficult to understand, that doesn't necessarily make you racist. And you're not stupid, but you fundamentally do not understand black people's relationship with the police. Don't automatically dismiss their concerns. Take the time to listen to them. Try to understand their plight. And black people, if our potato salad is difficult for you to understand, that doesn't necessarily make you racist. And you're not stupid, but you fundamentally do not understand white people's relationship with mayonnaise. Don't automatically dismiss our condiments. Take the time to indulge in the eggy goodness. Try to understand our plate. So what happens next? The media will manipulate this. They'll try to divide us. They'll cherry pick the negative footage to make it seem like a race war. And let me be very clear. This is not a race war. This is a war on races. When I'm at these protests, you know what I see? I see every race shouting Black Lives Matter. I see Americans refusing to let justice slip away. I see peaceful protesters stopping the destruction. I see good police working with the citizens they're sworn to protect. I see a diverse group of patriots holding corrupt institutions accountable and making sure that no American is denied their inalienable rights of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. When I'm at these protests, I see an America I'm proud to be a part of. And when I see George Floyd's daughter smiling, saying, "My daddy changed the world," I see a girl telling the truth. Hollywood celebs, shut the fuck up. This week in celebrity virtue signaling, Hollywood's A-list, and by A I mean anonymous, be honest, you didn't recognize half of them either, got together and made an ISIS hostage video to solve racism.
I take responsibility.
Every not so funny joke.
Every time I remained silent,
I take responsibility.
Thank you, Hollywood. I mean, who better to end systemic oppression than a cartoon turtle, lesbo Steve Jobs, and this chick, who I'm told is Kesha. This is the most insincere, empty, self-serving piece of slacktivism since, I don't know, 3 months ago when they did the exact same shit. So are these the celebs that can't sing? And I know what you're thinking, actors, just shut the fuck up and say the words the ugly people wrote for you. Unfortunately, that's what they did here. Yeah, they didn't even write it. How are you gonna tell us to take responsibility when you can't even take responsibility for your own statement? Matter of fact, they couldn't even take responsibility to memorize the lines, which is exactly what they're overpaid to do for a living. You need a teleprompter to say why racism is bad? I cannot believe they're reading the lines. This bitch brought her bifocals, and so did this bitch.
I will no longer allow stereotypes to be uttered in my presence.
You will no longer allow stereotypes? You play the sassy gay sidekick in every movie. Stereotypes paid for for your house in the hills where you avoid black people. No stereotypes. Stanley, you're a 60-year-old Italian man. How else are you going to describe the people that move into your neighborhood? And Aaron Paul, you are breaking my fucking heart, man. What are you doing?
I take responsibility.
How about you take a sip of water? What's up with your voice? You play Pinkman, not Batman. Relax. At least I know who he is. Some of these celebrities I've never seen before.
Every time I remained silent,
Who the fuck is this guy? Anthony Boring? Speaking of parts unknown, what's up with your hair? You comb it with a pineapple? Actors, this is why we don't believe you when you're at the Oscars babbling on about the horrors of the dairy industry. We know it's self-serving, performative bullshit. You get an award for pretending to be something you're not, and now you're up there pretending to be something you're not. I mean, Leonardo DiCaprio goes on about global warming, but he probably punched a hole in the ozone layer flying pussy around the planet. Why do you think they call the airline Virgin? It's disingenuous. You don't care about these issues, you care about the bag. Disney professed their support for Black Lives Matter, but then reduced John Boyega's role in the Chinese release of Star Wars because it was better for the target audience. And China, you're okay with Yoda in the movie, but not a black guy? Disney also has long advocated for gay pride, but then cut out the gay scenes from the Chinese release of Bohemian Rhapsody. China, you're okay with a bat in your mouth, but not a dick? Now don't get me wrong, market the movie in the way that makes you and your shareholders the most money. Get your cash. But if you're gonna bend to a totalitarian dictatorship that doesn't value human rights, save us the fucking lecture about ethics. It's not just Hollywood. Most of these corporations are all doing the same shit. Last week, Nike came out against racism and said, for once, just don't do it. And by it, they mean loot their stores. They followed up their statement saying, we will never stop striving to role model how a diverse company acts. How a diverse company acts. Nike, look at your executive board. It's like the Hockey Hall of Fame. I mean, how are you role modeling a diverse... Oh, I get it. It's diverse like the executives are white and the people on the field are black. Where have I seen that before? Anyway, these corporations only care about progress if it's profitable. Again, I don't care what your executive team looks like. And don't just hire token diversity to appease the liberal mob. But please, stop bragging about your diversity when your head office looks like my family's Thanksgiving. So here's the deal. Hollywood and fake woke corporations. I'm not saying stop supporting causes, because they need your money. Just cut out this performative nonsense that comes across as more self-serving than supportive. We see through the bullshit. The reality is the people create the social change and you guys are always slow to catch up. The people advocate for gay rights and then you make SpongeBob gay. The people protest in the streets and then you support Black Lives Matter. Y'all are always lagging behind the social trend, but you have the audacity to lecture us about what the trend is. We are the fucking trend. The people made a black president of the United States before Hollywood made a black president of a studio. So before you ask us to imagine, take responsibility, or stop drinking dairy, send that shit to your execs, because we already know. You got it from us. We've been on the oat milk. Thanks, guys. Peace. When we locked down, we found out what Americans valued most. That paper. Toilet paper? Yeah, TP flew off the shelves faster than Gushers on Epstein's Island. People were so desperate for rolls, they would have watched Weinstein wank into a weeping willow. It was a bit surprising. I mean, you'd think it'd be bread, eggs, pasta, but I guess the only thing these millennials eat is ass. I mean, everything was so confusing. Remember when Fauci first crawled out of his tree stump and told us not to wear masks? Then he sees his shadow and makes us mask up forever. We didn't know who to trust, so we started making up our own rules, like wearing latex gloves and wiping down more packages than Bob Kraft's masseuse. And when the official rules came in, they were great, because they were just common sense. Wash your fucking hands, cover your fucking mouth, don't eat beef and broccoli, and maintain a social distance of half the gap between Michael Strahan's teeth. Generally, everybody was willing to do it because look, there's no pandemic playbook. Politicians were trying to save lives and they were erring on the side of caution. And then came the bullshit. LA Mayor and Spirit Airlines stewardess Eric Garcetti acted like an 80s movie villain and started filling up skate parks with more sand than Cleopatra's camel toe. Or remember when they yanked a surfer out of the sea? Is that the first time we've ever stopped the water border? They arrested a father for playing catch with his daughter, and now he's probably playing a whole different type of catch in jail. So, did these precautions really protect us from getting the virus? Probably not. And you know what? Maybe it did more harm because when people saw the inconsistency in the rules, they began to question all the rules. And I get their skepticism. I mean, most politicians are spineless sociopaths plowing interns and suckling subsidies off of citizens. And you know what? Corona proved it. Remember that drug they said was a felony 2 years ago and gave Kamala her career? Well, now it's an essential business, so I guess our prisons are filled with essential workers, and unfortunately, the only thing clapping at 7 p.m. is their cheeks. I haven't seen anything go from illegal to essential this fast since Kylie. Speaking of cheap plastic, California governor and inflatable fuckdoll Gavin Newsom ordered wineries in 19 counties to close. You know what Gavin didn't order close? His own fucking winery. Nothing says man of the people like owning a vineyard. There's a drought in California, and Gavin is hosing down his grapes like they're striving for civil rights in Selma. These dorks can't even follow their own rules. Yeah, Nancy Pelosi, who looks like she got a facelift from a taxidermist, was caught getting her Pan Am perm at a local hair salon that she ordered to shut down. And it turns out, being a piece of shit politician goes both ways, like Andrew Gillum in a motel meth orgy, which actually would have helped him win Florida. It's not just the left. The jerk-offs on the right are just as bad. I mean, Republican Senators Richard Burr, who looks like he ran for Senate to ban dancing, and part-time Muppet Kelly Loeffler got a secret briefing on the impending economic destruction of Corona, immediately sold their own stock, and then told everyone not to worry about Corona. Hey, Vanilla ISIS, these are the politicians you should be kidnapping. At the end of the day, money always trumps everything.
Tekashi 6ix9ine. Fresh out of prison, and I know exactly what he should do next. Run for president. Now, I know you're thinking, how could he be president with all that stupid shit on his face, or that dumb hair, or lack of political experience? He's a fraud. He wasn't even part of that gang. He just used them to sell an image to the public to gain power. Not so crazy now, is it? Seriously. Not only could he do it, he'd be perfect. He'd unite the whole country. Think about it. A Mexican midget with an LGBTQ haircut, an Asian name from a black neighborhood. He's the Thanos glove of oppression. You want to unite red and blue? He was blood and Crip, and neither. He employs black women, puts gang members in jail. He lived in the gayest neighborhood in America. I mean, no one supports gay rights more than 6ix9ine, hence the name. Look, he said it himself.
You know how many people I told suck my dick? I done went to LA, told niggas suck my dick. I went to Texas, told niggas suck my dick. Florida, suck my... Like, you know, I went to everywhere in the world, then told niggas to suck my dick.
Does that sound like a homophobe to you? He upholds liberal values. You can't spell Democrat without rat. But he also considers Republicans too. He's a strong gun rights activist. His relationship with God is unmatched. He supports a strong economy. He even built a wall around a Mexican. He'd be a great president in this time specifically. We're dealing with a shelter in place, and he's leading by example. And trust me, this isn't the first virus he's had to deal with. This guy has experience. And how did he get in the first place?
I went to everywhere in the world, then told niggas to suck my dick.
I know what you're thinking. He's not qualified, right? Donald Trump was an anomaly. You still need real expertise to succeed in your field these days. You can't just get by on hype and celebrity. You're right. You want to get people out of jail, you got to be a lawyer. Or at least have taken the bar, not that bar. To be a successful international business, you have to make serious money. To patent Taco Tuesday, you gotta at least be Mexican. To have a $1 billion lipstick brand, you should at least be born with lips. To start an alcohol brand, you should at least have some experience making alcohol. To sell out the Staples Center for a boxing match, you should at least be boxers, right? To criticize American politics, society, and culture, you gotta be a citizen or have at least lived here a long time. Bare minimum, you gotta know about the news. To be one of the highest value tech IPOs in history, you should at least own some tech, right? To be a climate change expert, you should at least graduate high school. To have a successful fashion brand, you should at least know fashion. To be a leading voice on black issues, you should at least be black, right? To be the victim of a hate crime, you should at least be the victim of a hate crime. To be an advisor to the president, you should at least have some experience in politics. To be a feminist, an opponent of the patriarchy, you should at least work in an industry that's not entirely fueled by the objectification of women from the fucking patriarchy. And to teach comedy, you should at least be a comedian. Now you see, Tekashi 6ix9ine is the most famous rapper for the same reason Donald Trump is the president. And that's because we no longer live in an era of credibility, qualifications, or talent. No. There's a new currency that dictates success today. Clout. And Trump and Tekashi are clout.
They have an unbelievable ability to garner attention. And in the age of social media, attention, whether good or bad, is the only requirement for victory. The marketplace is dominated by clicks and shares. And as a result, we don't always get the best person for the job. We just get the person that grabs the most attention. And maybe that's what we deserve. We're a society that demands to be entertained every moment of the day for free. This is what we ask for. When you want a circus, you exalt the clowns. So enjoy the show.